Welcome back, students. So in this video we are just going to see the continuation of memory management tasks. So in the previous video we got to know that what are the two major tasks that memory management has to perform. So the first was memory allocation, the second was address translation. So in this video we are just going to see what are the strategies so that are available in order to just allot the memory for any of the processes. So two things to be considered under memory management. So when we just talk about this point is that, so regarding the tasks, okay, the first point is that how the program or the data from the secondary memory will be placed onto the main memory. So that is the first task. So the main memory has to worry about, the management has to worry about. Say suppose if you want to just shift the data from the disk to the main memory, so how you are just going to allocate, where it has to be just moved to. So that we need to just worry. So in order to perform that, we have two ways to deal with that moving or just allocating the memory. One is that contiguous allocation. The next is that non-contiguous allocation. We will see what are these types of allocation in the coming next moment. So the second point says that, so since the secondary memory deals with logical address, so there must be a translation required in order to map logical address to the physical address, as the memory main memory deals only with the physical addresses. So this is the address translation. So these are the two major tasks we need to just worry about under main memory management. So when we are just moving to the strategies, so we need to just have the concept of whole. Say suppose you have the main memory which have got allocated with the 3 or 4 processes. Say assume from P1, P2, P3, P4. When you just move out the process P2 from the main memory back to the backing store, so there will be a space that have created between the P1 and P3. So that was the space where the P2 was allotted. So when that free space have been created between the memory blocks, so that would be just represented as a hole on the memory. So the whole is nothing but block of available memory, or you can just say that the available partition in between the processes. So holes of various sizes are scattered throughout the memory. So obviously, so when you just take out the processes back to the store or from backing store to the main memory, when you swap in, swap out and all, so there will be a n number of holes that might created on the memory snapshot. So remember that what is the whole represents for. So now we will see the first major task, that is memory allocation. As I said, in the memory allocation we have two types. One is contiguous memory allocation and the second one is non-contiguous memory allocation. Then what is contiguous memory allocation? So always the contiguous memory allocation tries to allocate the memory in continuous format or continuous manner. That is what the contiguous stands for. Say suppose you have an array with n number of values stored in it. Say assume my array has 4 values. So where the first value got stored in 0, 0, 0, 0 and the second element would be presented or would be available in 0, 0, 2, assuming that the integer carries 2 bytes to store in a main memory. Means the array is just going to try to store all the 4 values in contiguous memory allocation, starting from 000 to 002 for the second element, and 004 would be the third element starting address, and 006 would be the fourth element address. So this is how the array is just going to have a continuous memory allocation for its value to be stored on the main memory. So that's the simple example for contiguous memory allocation. In the same way, suppose the process wants to store all its instruction in the continuous memory block, in the continuous memory addresses, that would say it's a contiguous memory allocation. So what are the advantages of it? So easy address translation and easy accessing. Suppose if we have all the instructions available in a continuous memory blocks, it is very easier to just get access to those instructions because they are available from the beginning to the ending in a one block. So obviously easy address translation, if you get to know the physical address starting from that to till the end, so it becomes easier to either map from the logical address to the physical or vice versa. So these two are the major advantages of going for contiguous memory allocation. What are the disadvantages? We have also disadvantage in allocating the memory continuously. Say suppose I have a 10 kilobyte of physical memory that is available, so in which at a particular point of time, so there is a free space that is available with the 4 KB size in the first block, and in the middle some other process have occupied 1 kilobyte, so it is occupied. In the next memory block I have a 4 kilo that is available. So when in the contiguous, I want to just allocate the process continuous memory addresses. For this picture, for this memory snapshot, say suppose if the P1 arrives who wants 5 kilobytes to fit on the main memory. So in that case, the P1 cannot be allocated continuously even though there exists a free space. In the overall memory block, I have a 4 kilobyte and 4 kilobyte, that is in total 8 kilobytes that is available. Since I want the P1 to allocate 5 kilobytes which is continuous address blocks, so it's not there on the memory because I have only 4 KB in the first free space and I have a second hole of size 4 KB. Since my P1 wants 5 kilobytes, so it cannot be accommodated 4 kilobyte here and 1 from the second hole because he needs the continuous address blocks. So that is the disadvantage. So that is nothing but it always suffers from external fragmentation. So what is external fragmentation? If the total memory space exists to satisfy a request but it is not continuous, so here when you just count the total free available memory, it is 8 kilobyte, but it is not continuous to fit the request made by the P1 which is for 5 kilobytes. So in that case, so we could not accommodate the request of 5 kilobyte, so you can just say that that is the external fragmentation because I got failed to fit the 5 kilobytes continuously. So that you can just call it as external fragmentation. So this external fragmentation can be seriously felt in the if you just go for the continuous memory allocation. So next is that non-contiguous policy, or how do we just deal with the non-contiguous memory allocation. So the non-contiguous fashion always tries to allocate the memory in non-contiguous fashion, or you could just, which is not continuous. So from the available memory space, for example, I have a linked list. So when we have in the array, so array needs the continuous memory addresses in order to store all its values. So but in the case of linked list, what happens? So you can just store part of the data in the first node, the remaining part of the data in the second node, and so on. So if you want to just get to know where the second part of the program is available, you can just make the first node the last addresses to hold the starting address of the second node where the further information or further block or piece of information about the process is available, and so on. So now what happens? The first node holds the address of the next node, the next node has the address of the last node. When you just have this, so what happens here? So I have a 10 kilobyte memory available over here. So in this case, so 4 KB is allocated for the P1, but whereas in the part of 5 KB, I am just taking out few KB in order to hold the address of the next block, so that this is always going to address the next node, so where the next piece of information available with respect to this process. So what is the advantage of going for? Means you can just say that, see here, say suppose I have a process of 5 kilobyte that has to be allocated over here. So here what you could see is, since it is non-continuous, so he might not require 5 kilobytes in continuous format. So he could just store 5 kilobytes over here, and the remaining 1 KB could be there in the next node. So that next node is pointing by the address that have been held at the last position of the first node. So 1 KB data is available over here. So in the same way, if it is asking for other KB, so wherever the memory is allocated, there and all you could fit the process blocks. So and you have to just have a pointer, so which you could just point to that particular location where you get the next piece of code. So that is a non-contiguous fashion of allocating the memory block, if you have understood. So here 4 KB can be accommodated here, remaining 1 KB can just be done in the next hole, but address has to be just we need to just have a pointer to address to the next node, remember that. So what is the advantage? So this may avoid the external fragmentation. So there in the continuous, since we had 8 kilobyte free memory, since my process was 5 kilobyte, even I have a 8 KB of free space, I could not allocate the 5 KB request. So that was the external fragmentation. But here in this case, since it is allocated non-continuous form, 4 KB can be accommodated here, remaining 1 KB could accommodate here. So that I just succeeded in allocating the memory for the request for 5 kilobyte. So I could avoid the external fragmentation. So what are the disadvantages? So obviously the access time is too low, because I need to just go for accessing the first node. In order to get the remaining 1 kilobyte of information or 1 kilobyte of the instructions, I need to just use the pointer, move to that node and get the to fetch the data from over there. So that actually makes the access time to be lesser. So now these are the basic introduction about the contiguous memory allocation and non-contiguous memory allocation. So now in the contiguous memory allocation, so what are the methods, the types that are available, and on each type, so what are the algorithms that are available in order to allocate the processes in the available memory, we will see in the coming videos. Next, take the contiguous memory allocation type or the method, so in which the memory will be allocated continuously. So basically it has two types. One is that a fixed size partitioning, the other is that variable size partitioning. So what is fixed size partitioning? So the entire memory block have been divided into a several fixed number of chunks. Say suppose, so that is nothing but you have a memory, the physical memory with you. So instead of just allowing the process to enter wherever they want, we are just going to divide that entire memory into a number of chunks. So the number of chunks is fixed. Okay, so what happens? So if the process arrives asking for any KB of memory requirement, this would be accommodated to the possible block which is there which is available at that moment, possible chunk which is available at that moment. So that is the fixed size partitioning. So here what happens, so it is easier to manage because we have the limited number of chunks. So the as and when the process arrives, that it is easier to check out which is large enough to hold this process, and you can just push the process over there. So each chunk may have different size. So when we just divide the memory into a number of chunks, it need not to be always in the same size. Say suppose if you have a 10 kilobyte, it's not needed to divide that into 5 KB, two parts which are in equal size. So the chunk may be divided into a different size, such as one block of 5 kilobyte, the second block of 2 kilobyte, and third block of 2 KB, and the fourth as 1 KB. So here we have an example which says the same thing. The entire 10 KB memory have been divided into a 4 number of chunks. Here number of partitions is fixed for 4. So now say suppose there is a process P1 arrives who requires 4 KB memory over here. So without any option, it has to be fit in the first chunk. Say assume I have a process P1 which is arriving with a 4 kilobyte. Since I have divided the chunks in 4 number, and the chunk which is possible to fit this request is the first chunk, because it has a memory size of 5 KB, which is greater than the need or the requested memory size. So since it is possible to fit over here, you could just fit it. Say assume there is a next process which is arriving with the again 4 kilobytes. It's not possible to proceed with the second request because the second chunk is of size 2K, the third is 2 KB, and the fourth is 1 KB. Even though you have a 5 kilobyte remaining, we could not service the second request because he needs 2 kilobyte to fit in that block. So then what is the disadvantage? So now what happens, say suppose So here if you just fix the chunk size, what happens? So say suppose there is a process which is arriving with a 4 kilobyte. So out of 5, if you just allocate the 4, 1 kilobyte of memory might be get wasted. So because in this chunk you cannot accommodate the next process, okay, this will be get wasted. So say suppose if the process with 3 kilobytes also arrives, so since in the memory among the 4 chunks, so only the possible chunk to fit the 4 kilobyte request is 5 KB, again the first chunk only. If you accommodate that process over the 5 kilobyte available process or the first chunk, so the remaining 2 KB would be get wasted. We cannot accommodate the next process in that. So that is the disadvantage of going for the fixed partitioning. So the fixed size partition may suffer from the internal fragmentation. What is internal fragmentation? Say suppose in the internal fragmentation is nothing but the allocated memory may be slightly larger than the requested memory. This size difference is memory internal to a partition but not being used. So that is nothing but, see here I have the 5 kilobyte block available, the chunk available, but I am just able to fit the 4 kilobyte within it, wherein which so there got a free space, I mean there created a 1 kilobyte of space that got internal to this chunk. So when we got the memory that got wasted within a chunk or within the block, so that would say it's an internal fragmentation, because this constitutes the first block. So in the first block you cannot accommodate the next process over there. So even though it's free over there, so we could not accommodate the next process in that chunk. So that is the internal fragmentation, means the memory space that got wasted within a block. So this fixed sized partition may suffer from the internal fragmentation. And also the fixed size partition may limits the number of processes to the number of memory chunks. So obviously if you divide the 10 kilobytes into the 4 chunks, so obviously you could accommodate the 4 processes if they are asking within that limit. Say suppose there is a process, there are 4 processes arriving with the 5 kilobyte, 2 kilobyte, 2 kilobyte and 1 kilobyte respectively. You could accommodate all 4 only. So means the number of chunks will limit the number of processes at any point of time. And also it limits the process size, because in the first chunk I can just go for either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kilobyte of processes, that's it. I could not accommodate the 6 kilobyte request within a first chunk and so on. So these are the few disadvantages if you just go for allocating the memory addresses continuously under fixed size partition, under fixed sized fashion. So that's why we have the second one, that is the variable sized partitioning. So here what happens, so even this is under contiguous, we need to just allocate the memory continuously, but here I am just having a chunks or any memory, so which could be in a variable size, the memory block could be in a varied size. So what happens here? So the memory block is not going to break down into a fixed number of chunks. So we are not at all going to divide the entire memory into a number of chunks here, so that the entire memory can be used to allocate sequentially as the process arrives. So instead of dividing that into a number of chunks, what we are just going to do is that we are just keep on allocating the memory starting from 0th byte as the process arrives, till we end up with the complete memory usage. So that is the basic idea behind the variable sized partitioning. Say suppose for example I have a 10 kilobyte that memory which is available for the whole for the first time, and there is a P1 with the 5 KB requirement, and there is a one more process P2 which needs 3 kilobyte of continuous addresses, and P3 who needs 1 kilobyte continuous addresses. That can be allocated like below. So take the 10 kilobyte memory. So the P1 is asking first or requesting the 3 kilobyte first. Allocate the P1 with 5 KB. So next process P2 needs 3 KB. So next take out from 5 to next 3 kilobyte continuously will be allotted for P2, and next 1 kilobyte of addresses will be allocated to P3. So if there is a free space that has been available, that is available at the end, that is of 1 kilobyte, if there is any other process arriving with the request for 1 kilobyte, you could just accommodate the P4 in the available free space. So this is how we are just going to allocate the addresses continuously for the processes as they just arrived. So this will avoid the internal fragmentation. So obviously you can just check out here. So here what happens is, since we have not divided into a chunks wherein which within that, if it free space available, that could not be accommodated to any other processes, right? So that can be avoided under the variable sized partition method. So we have a small technique that is known as a compaction. So the compaction is nothing but is a technique in which it is just going to shuffle all the memory contents to a place, to place all free memory together to form one large block. So that is nothing but, say I assume in the midst of out of 10 kilobyte I have 3 KB that have been accommodated, occupied over here, 2 KB free in between, next 3 KB have been accommodated here, 1 KB is occupied, something like that. So you have several holes on the memory snapshot. So when you just gather together all the memory holes or that memory spaces that are available, if you shuffle together, you could constitute one bigger block, one bigger chunk, so that you could just have the request. Suppose any process is requesting for the larger memory allocations, you could just satisfy that request. So that is the technique. So that is done by compaction. So this is done in the execution time and it is supported under only the dynamic reallocation. You cannot have this in a static way. It must be in a variable sized partitions only. Thank you.